guys? It's Lord Botha here with another video, and Wicked and Gladiator 2 have now released. They've gone through their opening weekends, and the results were about what we thought they were going to be. Gladiator 2 did alright, and Wicked did absolute gangbusters. This comes to us from Deadline Wicked Part 1. All the box office records broken. Yes, spoiler alert for you guys. If you didn't know, Wicked is apparently a part 1 of a two-parter series. Which there is something to be said of how are they doing a part 1 of a film that's 2 hours and like 40 minutes long when the play itself is only 3 hours. And apparently they're going to add new songs in the part 2. And I don't know. I'm not feeling as optimistic about part 2 of Wicked as I am part 1. I don't think it's going to do as well. But with that said, let's get into the article. The article states Broadway musicals adapted onto the screen are an erratic genre at the box office, despite Miramax's multi-Oscar winning Chicago revving the long-dormant Hollywood genre back in 2002 with $306 million worldwide. Yet for every Les Miserables hit from Universal, there were massive misfires like Dear Evan Hansen and Cats. Well, those are easy explanations there. First off, Les Mis is adapted from a Victor Hugo novel. You know, an actual writer with compelling characters and a very thick story. It's a very big, long book, Les Miserables. And Victor Hugo is one of the best writers in history, known for fleshing out characters that seem as real can be. Dear Evan Hansen didn't work because they had the original actor starring in the movie, which is okay unless the original actor looks like a man in his mid-30s playing a teenager. It just doesn't work. And Cats works as a Broadway play because it's adapted from just random poetry about cats. And you can have one-off numbers about individual cats. It doesn't work as a movie because it doesn't have a linear storyline. Also, are we really going to compare things as grounded as Les Mis with something as abstract as Cats? There's very clear reasons why one of these movies was a big success and the other two were failures, and didn't really have anything to do with them being musicals. This weekend, Universal defied the odds with their featured take of the $5 billion grossing Broadway stage show, Wicked, opening to $112 million domestically and $162 million worldwide as of Monday morning. By the way, that's not really defying the odds. Everybody was saying before this movie came out that it was going to do really well. And guess what? It's doing really well. Mostly because it's a movie faithfully adapted for the audience that it's meant for. We also said that domestically it would do really well, but internationally it wouldn't do as well. And guess what? $112 million of the $162 comes from domestic, meaning that the movie didn't do as well internationally as it did at the domestic box office, which isn't actually that bad, mostly because the studio actually gets a bigger take of the domestic box office rather than the international. The inverse is actually happening to Wicked's rival at the theaters right now, Gladiator, which is why it's kind of a problem for them. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. This article from Deadline also goes on to do what I call the LeBron list, which is a list of all the random statistics that this movie broke that don't really mean a whole lot, but just make it sound like it did really well. For instance, it had the biggest global and domestic opening for a movie based on a Broadway show. Biggest domestic opening for a pop star, because apparently somebody keeps track of that. Biggest global opening for a non-sequel film of 2024, which considering we do get pretty much only sequels these days, that actually does have some significance to it. Biggest domestic previews for a movie based on a Broadway musical at $19 million. 10th biggest domestic opening for November. I like this random one. 6th biggest opening at the global box office for a musical feature. Wow, I'm really glad you told us about that one. How could we miss it being 6th place? Really something we needed to know. But yeah, I would not be surprised that Wicked has extremely long legs to it too. I think this is going to be a $1 billion film. We're entering the holiday season when families get together. Moms and daughters are going to go see this film. Sisters, aunts, cousins, all that, of all kinds, women, they're going to go see this film together. It's a woman activity, really, to do together, to go see Wicked. And it's also something they might do multiple times if they really enjoy the movie, which it sounds like from reviews, it is actually a really good movie in the way that the production looks good, the acting is good, the songs are done right. Even people that this film is not for, people like Nerdrotic, said that the movie was really good. He didn't enjoy it because it's not a movie for him, it's not what he likes, but he said that the movie was really well done and that the audience that it's made for really enjoys it. Now, in the opposite case, I don't think Gladiator 2 has the same kind of legs to it, and I expect this movie to fizzle out pretty fast. Gladiator 2 is definitely going to be in that older Ridley Scott Napoleon 2049 kind of section of his movies, where it should be massive, but it's just not, and it should be great, but it's just not. All the reviews I'm seeing for this film is that it's an average movie, 5 out of 10. It's not something that's going to knock your socks off. It has some nostalgia without being hit over the head with it, but it's not really anything that makes you feel anything for the characters. Denzel Washington's character is kind of not utilized correctly from what I hear, and he doesn't give as great a performance as we think he should. In any event, Gladiator from Box Office Mojo states that it has made $55 million domestically, and it's made $165.5 million internationally, bringing it to a total of $221 million worldwide. Now, again, keep in mind, international box office, the studios keep less of that. So when you think about the fact that this thing had a budget of $250 million, you factor in all the other costs of the movie, this thing has to do about $600 million to break even, and I think it's going to be a big ask to get there. It probably will get there, but I don't think it's going to turn over that much of a profit beyond that. And that $55.5 million is about $10 million or so less than what was projected for them to do domestically in their open. So again, not off to a great start. And again, we're headed into the holiday season where families are getting together. Moana 2 is about to release. And this movie, which is primarily a male movie, primarily meant for men to go see, it's an action film. It's very traditionally masculine and all that. Men probably aren't going to go see this film. If it was like in the middle of summer, there's a summer release or something like that, they probably would. But because it's the holiday season, they're around their families. They're going to go take their kids with their family to see Moana 2. They're going to go with their wives and girlfriends to Wicked because they're trying to make them happy. Is it still possible that they also go see Gladiator 2? Yes. But especially if you're on a budget, you're going to go see what pleases your kids and your wife rather than what is just good for you. Or at least one would hope. As such, I don't think this movie just has the legs going into the holiday season. And I think at the end of the day, Wicked is going to dominate this thing when it comes to the box office in the long run. But in all, these films are both far from absolute flops. And it's nice to see films that are made specifically for their audiences and them not be total disasters. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you like this video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, appreciate you watching all of it. We'll talk to you again later.